friend, she was putting people under the jail. She gets a joy out of that.
Enough of that shit. The real problem with this video with Miss Beverly Williams and her husband that's on here is the lack of accountability. This woman is distraught because she just received 3.5 years for blocking the entrance of an abortion clinic. She was a part of a protest that she willfully took part of. Nobody forced her there. She barred the way from women going to have procedures done. And about 150 women that day were turned away because of what was going on at that clinic. Now, she and both her husband are blaming Kamala Harris for her obvious and blatant disrespect for the law. Ms. Williams, if you were really concerned about losing your family, you or your husband, you wouldn't have been out there that day. You would have been at home with that baby that you seem to be so worried about losing contact with now. Mr. Williams, you would have advised your wife, hey, baby, come home. Maybe you don't need to be out there today. But y'all putting this on Kamala Harris. She didn't do abortion. Had you not been harassing women who are trying to take care of their personal issues, you would not be going to jail now. There was a lot of things going on in 2020. Black Lives Matter was one of the things that you could have actually been at and probably wouldn't have been in jail right now had you been at that protest instead of trying to usurp your own moral issues and desires onto another human being. So first, I just want to address a few issues about Kamala Harris. She was the first female, Black, and South Asian district attorney in San Francisco. And if you know anything about San Francisco, you know they fought really hard to whitewash that city for a lot of years. And so her even getting into that office was a feat in itself. She served 2 terms in that office, which means she was chosen. She was elected, obviously, because she was able to lead and people wanted to see her make that city work. Now, when she became the Attorney General for California, she actually worked to reform the flawed lending practices of banks, and she fought to secure a multi-million-dollar deal that gave homeowners at least on average $20,000 each. She continued to push and make sure that these people had more protections, and as far as the banks go, that they were having to take more accountability for these flawed banking practices that they were doing. In 2014, she received backlash for failing to push for the unaliving penalty. She does not support capital punishment. There was a cop there that was unalived during an arrest, and she did not push to have the convict punished permanently. As a matter of fact, she sought to seek a memoriam after Gavin Newsom's bill that he passed about capital punishment because it was disproportionate in the amount of blacks and Latinos that was being executed versus their white counterparts. Now, let's get on Roe versus Wade. That was a 6-3 vote, and every justice that voted to end it federally was put there in office by a Republican. Samuel Alito wrote a 78-page opinion where he basically stated that we do not have inherent rights to privacy or self-autonomy in the Constitution. So, put your thinking caps on and understand what that means across the board for anything. You have no freedom. Every justice that voted down Roe versus Wade and put it in the hands of the states was chosen by a Republican president, and yet Ms. Harris and the Democratic Party gets the blame for all of it. Make it make sense. Now, back to Miss Williams. Madam, I think you forgot the biggest rule. WWJD. What would Jesus do? It most definitely would not be harassing women outside of an abortion clinic whom you really have no personal contact with these women. You don't know if they were victims of SA. You don't know if they had prior existing health conditions that may have been exacerbated by a pregnancy that needed to be terminated medically. You don't know any of this stuff, but yet you think that your right to life, you're pro-life. Pro-life, you had your baby. That means you support life. It does not give you the right to go and tell somebody else how to live theirs or what to do with their body. You are not being persecuted for your faith. You are being persecuted because you broke the law willingly. You harassed women. Women. We already got it rough, sister. We need solidarity amongst ourselves. We really. I would put to any Christian, show me in the Bible where Yeshua went on protest. Show me where he harassed people. Or did he just spread a message, drop it and leave it, planted a seed so that it would grow later on, or maybe not. But it's not your decision to choose for me or anybody else. Take some responsibility, please. Do your time with your whole chest, baby girl, because you did that. Nobody did that for you. You did that. Kamala Harris is not to blame for the situation that you're in. She has nothing to do with New York law. She has nothing to do with what you chose to do that day. Your husband, get on board, brother. You should have talked to your wife and advised her better. You're supposed to be the leader of your home, and as a Christian man, you should know that. And now take this step further. All you coons out there that's sitting there talking about you voting for Trump, nothing that man has said or done is going to benefit you. Matter of fact, all of his policies are going to go against you, and the same ones that's out there pumping up your fists for him and kissing ass to these people, trying to please them, trying to be close to, I guess, what you think is success by proximity. You will be whining and crying and begging for that sister to be in office if he should happen to win, because you already know. You should know what's going to happen and where you're going to end up. Stop being stupid, y'all.